Ah. Mm-hmm. Oh. Ah.
The pigment of this paint is brighter than it should be.
Meaning?
We have found our second foe.
Huh. Oh.
Poirot, the door. What are you doing in?
Monsieur Christiansen, welcome home.
This doesn't look good, does it?
We have much to discuss.
So Mr. Christiansen had an opportunity and a motive, but he continues to deny killing her.
And still 2 forgeries remain.
I knew it.
Pardon, monsieur?
I knew that's why she stayed so friendly with her. Irene always said she was besotted.
Perhaps you should elaborate on the identity of...
The curator. Evelyn, what's her name? She could spot a forgery at 20 yards. What better person to show you the ropes so you can make your own? If the board of trustees at the museum got wind of this, Miss...
And in her own words, if anyone was to jeopardize her career...
She wouldn't be held responsible for...
It seems Monsieur Christiansen may not be the only person tied to Mademoiselle Smythe who has a secret to her. Madame Hélène has confirmed the surprise appearance of her husband during the intermission of her show. And as expected, Monsieur Hastings, there is something...
If I may speak freely.
You do not have to ask my permission.
This is all very overwhelming. We seem to be taking 1 step forward and 2 steps...
I can understand your confusion, but you cannot allow it to
Easier said than done. I just...
Oui, monsieur?
Must you be so hard on her?
I presume you refer to Mademoiselle Farquhar.
You talk about emotions not taking charge.
She is a suspect in a murder investigation, not a guest at afternoon tea. If Mademoiselle Farquhar is more important than discovering the
I would have thought you would know better of me by now. I'm sorry, but I don't agree with how you spoke to her.
When it is your investigation, you will have the authority to conduct your question. Until then, I will continue in a manner that has...
And I'll just keep my opinions to myself.
Let us focus on the case. What do we know about Mademoiselle
Mr. Christiansen suggested she had romantic feelings towards Irene, but she was just another of...
She cleaned the master key to hide Mademoiselle Smythe's actions. But perhaps she then became worried about her...
You think she could have killed her to stop the truth coming out to the trustees?
Which would in turn ruin her career. It is certainly a possibility.
Your Grace. Detective Poirot, good morning. Can I assume there is still a murderer loose on the...
London is a very large city. I would fathom a guess that there is more than one, as I have not had the chance to arrest him yet.
Your confidence astounds me. Look, you had better make it quick. I'm meeting the young Russian girl here. She had some questions about the museum building at the gala. God teaches us to forgive and love thy neighbor. Sometimes that can be more challenging than
Has she offended you personally?
using the museum for her sordid meetings with those...
She doesn't strike me as someone that would be caught up in that sort of thing.
And what sort of thing?
Well,
Exactly. If you don't know, it would be wise to remain quiet. I walked in on them in the restoration room a couple of weeks ago. I had come straight. I opened the door and saw...
You are not aware of what they were meeting about?
Do you need to wash your ears out? I just told you what they were up to. And when she saw me, they stopped talking.
Merci, Your Grace.
Go on, then. You make it sound as though it is I that...
Forgive me, have I misinterpreted?
If you cannot even understand what I have to say, how will you ever understand what Jesus and his Father...
That is perhaps a matter best discussed at a later time. What I wish to know now is about you and Mademoiselle...
There is no need to lose one's temper, Detective.
Your Grace. Please.
A lesson for another time. Let's just say that I certainly...
Merci, Your Grace. Mademoiselle Warbeck, if you have a moment.
I'm actually rather busy. Is there any chance you...
I would have thought recovering your painting and identifying a murderer would be at the...
I'm sorry. It's just been so hectic here. Is it necessary?
You do not wish to impede my investigation?
No, but I don't really understand.
It is important that...
that is quite all right, mademoiselle. It was...
Honorable? That's a good...
I get the sense you two spend your time butting...
butting head.
Oui, butting heads.
It would be easier to say what we do. I don't know what he has against me. I didn't like one of his suggestions for an exhibition, and since... Usually after an exhibition, the artist's work would be returned to them.
But on this occasion, that is not an option.
I still have every intention of going ahead with the exhibit that includes her work. Even if the trustees are... I'm still the curator of this museum. I'm hanging her work now...
I recall Mademoiselle Court Smythe referred to the exhibit as hers.
You have been most helpful.
Aha. Oh. Huh. Huh. Aha. Aha. Oh. Mm-hmm. Huh. Oh. Ah. What a revelation. Magnifique.
Bishop Mountjoy was quite adamant Mademoiselle Warbeck's meeting was something untoward. Although I believe anything she does, he will likely look upon. To have a young woman undermine him in front of the other trustees, he allows his personal feelings to accentuate his cynical side, instead of allowing facts and evidence to show that Mademoiselle Warbeck was doing nothing detrimental to the museum. In fact, quite the opposite with her attempt.
Go right ahead, Detective. I wonder who you've been talking to. What did he tell you?
Not in so many words.
I was meeting with artists for a new exhibition. He has no idea what he is talking about when it comes to... He can't see the future. The new wave that will change the...
As well as the uncouth gentleman you met. He also mentioned...
Uncouth? Anyone not wearing full priest robes is I wouldn't show Horace the finances because it has nothing to do with him. And he's simply looking for any... Well, considering he didn't want her work anywhere near the museum, then the next thing I heard was that he had commissioned her to do some pieces for his church.
Do you know what he had commissioned her?
No idea, I'm afraid. She was...
You have been most...
Go on, then. You'll have to be more...
The paintings produced by Mademoiselle Court-Smythe's...
Oh, yes. Well, I thought it was necessary.
You couldn't just use her other pieces as reference?
I suppose I could have. It is not as though I kept it anyway. I wasn't happy with it clogging...
Merci, Your Grace. Ah. Hmm. Huh. Oh. Aha. Huh. Ah. Oh. Oh. Hmm. 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 Oh. Ah. Huh. Aha. Hmm. Aha. Huh. Aha. Hmm. Aha. Ah. Huh. Oh.
I should not be surprised by my... Another success. I never die. Voila.
It appears that the good bishop has been replacing the church's original artworks with fakes painted by Mademoiselle Court Smythe. He commissioned her to make these forgeries so that no one would notice when the
Disappearing where, though? Don't think he's...
Why else? Mademoiselle Babagnan appears to have been right about the... Now, Hastings, we must ask ourselves, where might Bishop Mountjoy be hiding the original paintings from? We must gain access to the space...
Oh.
Why don't you have a look first?
Do not tell me you are afraid of the dark.
Not the dark, just pitch black, eerie passages in old churches. Poirot, where are we?
If I am not mistaken, this is part of the secret tunnels that were built hundreds of years.
And why exactly are we in here?
The why must never be obvious.
Right.
Huh. Oh. Ah.
We have our third forgery. There is a...
Thank goodness. Don't know how I would explain...
Bishop Mountjoy must have discovered the painting that he received from Mademoiselle Courtsmide
And lashed out. Now it may... He's been using this room to store his own private art collection. I can picture him sitting here...
What I find most unfortunate
is that not only does he deprive the world of beauty and joy from seeing these works, but he also keeps them in... He's even having to light his candle clock to keep from drifting off down here. Such a waste, don't you think, Poirot?
One's opinions are now worth listening to.
I was only voicing my thoughts.
You have thoughts beside those of Mademoiselle Farquhar?
Really, Poirot? You still think so little of me?
When one exclaims such regard for a suspect in a murder investigation, it is hard not to think any other way and...
You may not be so accustomed to the idea of showing, or at least having some form of...
There is a difference between empathy...
There is a difference between commenting and being rude and...
I was not expecting Monsieur Hastings to be so sensitive on the matter. Perhaps this
What was that? Oh, just the bishop's candle clock. I don't know about you, but I've had enough of this place. Let's get out of here. What are you doing, Poirot?
S'il vous plaît, un moment.
The bishop's candle clock has forced me to question everything of the murder scene.
We must return to Mademoiselle Courtsmide's apartment.
Perhaps that is a job best left for you, by yourself.
Hmm. Huh. Oh. Huh. Huh. Oh. Oh. Aha. Ah.
Et maintenant?
Oh.
I believe myself to be the greatest detective in the most prestigious, but I have been duped and swindled, falling directly into the trap laid, and now I stand here alone. Monsieur Hastings was quick to make his excuses to retire to his abode and not return to I hope there is not something further that troubles him. One does not need added strains at a time when steps must... Sacré! I have spent my time staring into the sun when a murderer remains free. But the truth of the fire eludes Detective Hercule Poirot no more. I cannot believe I allowed myself to fall for such a deceptive move. The killer knew I would ask for an alibi. Now, though, I have the upper hand. The killer believes that I have extinguished all avenues of my quest. I wish Monsieur Hastings were here. I know of his want for the same as I. The truth. But now I fear. Now more than ever do I need my little grey cells working at Monsieur Demire and Mademoiselle Babagna. I am glad to say that they both still have I can be sure that neither was involved. Mademoiselle Farquhar. She claims that she was in the dark room developing her alibi stands. Monsieur Dryden can... Monsieur Christiansen, one of my key suspects, drinking alone except... But Madame Allen can substantiate his trip to see her at the theatre, which leads us to the good Madame Allen. A side note, I must make an effort to see her production. From what I have heard, the Honorable Bishop Mountjoy. His Mademoiselle Warbeck and he were together in what I can only... Her innocence has already been confirmed. Although upon... Last but certainly not least, Monsieur... And the article in the newspaper documenting his, as some see, heroics. And where are we left now? Every But when one looks most innocent, that...
Finally, a face I can trust.
Everything all right, Poirot?
I'm afraid things could not be further from all.
Don't tell me the famous detective Poirot is
Stumped? No. Perplexed? Perhaps you can be my perfect distraction.
I may not be the celebrated doctor that my father hoped for, but
And what is the latest
This particular article is about the effect of cocaine on the user's body. I thought I liked to have a good time.
What makes you say that?
I wouldn't want my heart beating at the speed of a locomotive. Here, read for you. I haven't actually. I gave him my office telephone number and said he could call any time.
You sound surprised.
Yeah, he probably wants to keep his health issues out of the public eye. Hence me offering to help. Do you think there is a chance he could... How those little grey cells of yours...
Please, my friend.
You're serious? Don't know why, but...
At this point, anything is a possibility. I think a visit to Monsieur A. Mademoiselle Babagna. A pleasure as always.
Good morning, gentle.
I'm afraid my pleasantries are to be cut short this morning.
Just a moment.
What a great commotion coming from behind the door.
Ah, detective.
Could you spare a moment of your time?
Why wouldn't I?
You are recovering from a potentially fatal heart attack. I would not want to
Are we really...
It would help me clear up some...
Very well. As I've said before, I was in the House of Commons addressing the bench, as you know. And then I was speaking with the reporter.
The editor, Nathaniel Dryden.
If you say so, at the news office.
Monsieur Ellsworth is sticking to his story. I did not expect that it would be easy to unsettle a politician of his experience.
And why would I? Oh, to thank him for his help at the museum. Yes, of course.
One would think that thanking the man that saved your life would be further up your priorities.
I'm a very busy man, as I'm sure you understand. And I don't know whether I'd go as far as saying he saved...
On the contrary. Had Monsieur Demire not been there, with his extensive medical training, and a man of your age...
If Monsieur Ellsworth is not prepared to tell the truth, perhaps I can use his own...
The nurse said herself that I had the heart of a young athlete. It'll take more than that to slow me down.
Well, I would not take that as a sign to start a sporting career. Merci, monsieur.
I find myself in a most problematic position. My associate, Monsieur Hastings, is nowhere. There must be someone else that I can call upon. Someone to fill the... The obvious choice would be Monsieur Demire. But I want...
Good morning, mademoiselle. My apologies.
That's quite all right. Mr.
The case has taken a direction I had not foreseen.
I will not stand here and listen to you, Val. Go on.
I require a distraction. I promise you.
Who am I to distract, and from what?
Monsieur Aylesworth, I need to gain access to his...
Detective Poirot? Preparing to cross the line of law?
Not cross. Merely tiptoe alongside.
I assume you have already devised
A requested tour of the Royal Society of Art building should give me appropriate time.
Then that is what I shall do.
The door has been left ajar, exactly as required. I could hear Monsieur Aylesworth fumbling around behind his door on my last visit. And combined with it, I can presume he had something he did not want detected.
Ah. Hmm. Aha. Hmm. Hmm. Aha. Hmm.
Order and method. That... Hot on the culprits. The pieces of the puzzle are... Things are beginning to become... One step closer to...
Put your hands up and step away from there.
Monsieur, there is no need.
Enough of your phony pleasantries. Let's see what the real police have to say.
The first thing they would notice is the politician aiming his revolver at an officer while they are conducting official police business.
I'm sure they would agree. I have every right to protect myself from a foreign intruder.
If you were to lower the gun, perhaps we could discuss the situation we find ourselves in.
You may have authority in your own country, but not here. Now, explain yourself. You don't know what you're talking about. Enough! How has it all come to this? No, it's not my fault. It's...
It is not too late. Your intentions were good. Scotland Yard will look sympathetically at...
If you had just left that fool Hardwick to it, we wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have to do this.
I have done nothing but remain honorable to my oath to uphold the law. It is Monsieur's choices and actions that have brought us to this point. And he must accept responsibility for what is to come.
Poirot, are you all right?
All the better for seeing you, Hastings.
I was worried I was going to miss him.
Your timing and accuracy could not have been more perfect.
What do we do now?
We take our leave.
And what about him? Will he be okay?
He shall be fine. Although I am not envious of the sore head he will awake to. Come, there is much to tell.
Behind the bookshelf. But I never...
Monsieur Dryden, how are...
Detective
Poirot.
Yes, of course. What can I... She is, but not here, I'm afraid.
Do you know where she is?
She said something about heading back to the museum. For what, exactly?
Forgive me. I recently inherited a number of belongings from a deceased relative, including an...
I'd like to help, but there isn't anyone here that could...
I'm more than capable, and I'll leave it tidier than when we arrived.
In that case, knock yourselves out. I've got a meeting to run to anyway. I shouldn't be longer than half an hour or so.
Pardon. Where has this confident and daring version of Monsieur
We all have a hidden side. It's just our own choice of...
So, our first...
Don't tell me there is something the great detective...
I must concede that photography is something...
Lucky I'm here, then. We need to start with a tray filled with development. Next, pour the fixer fluid into another tray, and then add the photo...
I have a newfound respect for those that make such activity.
Let's just wait until we see the results. It shouldn't take long.
Huh. Huh. Aha. Huh. Ah. Oh. Oh.
Have you found it yet? You want the photographic fixer?
And how would one know it from another?
It smells like ammonia. Handy, I suppose, when you can't see much in here. Okay, I think that's everything. Oh,
Is there a problem?
there shouldn't be, but there must be light coming in from somewhere.
Is that not the point of a dark room? That it will allow no light in to...
We need to find where the light's coming in from and damaging the prints.
You continue your work, and I shall find the...
Oh.
Monsieur Hastings, may we talk a moment?
I'm in the middle of developing these. Can it wait?
I'm afraid not.
We've already been over this, Poirot. I don't want to argue.
I have no intentions of continuing our previous conversation. What we must...
She didn't steal the painting, though, we know.
Her guilt in Mademoiselle Court's mind.
Mr. Poirot, you are a genius. Mr. Poirot, you are a genius. That would never have even occurred to me. I've got a lot to learn. Look, this photograph is just about finished. Is that?
It appears so.
And what has she got in her hand? That can't be the same cigarette case.
The cigarette case that was taken from Mademoiselle Farquhar's luggage on our voyage here. It appears Mademoiselle Farquhar had a much closer relationship with Mademoiselle Court Smythe.
Cousins?
Oui, monsieur. Hastings, I must thank you.
For what? Allowing myself to be enticed by Miss...
For saving me from whatever Monsieur Aylesworth and his revolver had...
If it wasn't for me licking my wounds, you wouldn't have been there alone in the first place.
And if you were, and not at the Court Smythe estate, we would never have made such revelations. You are one of the most honest and authentic fellows I have met. You cannot allow a misguided moment of red-blooded male...
You have never let yourself fall to the wicked ways of the fairer...
No. And that is a day I cannot even fathom.
With Hastings' help at the Court Smythe estate, something I would have liked to have considered, we now know the circumstances around the murder need no further consideration. But the location of the A moment of peace before one's little grey cells must ponder how Mademoiselle Court... Ah, yes. Hastings had something for me, even after the truths of her crimes and personal betrayal. Perhaps Mademoiselle did not leave with the pain.
Poirot, there you are. What are you...
On this occasion, there is no time for pleasantries. We shall find that... We must return to the scene of the initial crime. Is everyone present? Please ask them to convene in the exhibition room.
Is there something you're not telling me?
All will be revealed. Messieurs et mesdames, thank you for joining us here today.
What's this all about? Yes, my time is...
I thought everyone was here to see the exhibition.
I'm all for looking at some real art. As long...
I understand the frustration and hostility that most of you must feel towards her.
Hatred, loathing...
Betty, please.
Even after everything you
I'm not defending her. If anyone should hate her...
Perhaps you should move on.
In this room is where it all began. Or we are all aware Mademoiselle Court Smythe was behind the painting's disappearance. But it was not but rather a well-orchestrated plan that involved most of you tangled in...
All right, we all know why we're here. Maybe you can...
At the Detective Inspector's request, I shall forego the series. Perhaps a fitting place to begin would be with the death.
If that's going to get things moving.
You are all aware of the fire and murder that took place at...
The fire that she started off...
That is where the difference between desire for the truth inside Mademoiselle's apartment was the penitent Magdalene painting. Or at least a forgery. The fire was set purposely, in an attempt to destroy evidence and hide the true nature.
You know where the painting is.
Mademoiselle Warbeck, do you remember?
No, I mean... Yes.
On the contrary, Mademoiselle Court Smythe threatened your career by involving you...
I wouldn't kill her, though.
You cleaned the key to the restoration room, did you not? You continued to deny your involvement with a relationship that was nothing more than...
You think I don't know that now? I knew it had been her that took the key from my pocket.
Behind bars, that's where
Give it a rest, old man.
She can't speak to me.
Before you continue riding your high horse, Your Grace, perhaps...
My actions? How dare you?
It is you that makes a mockery. And I am sure God will forgive me for saying.
This is all going to make for some...
Deals were hatched, forgeries were created, and promises were broken. Mademoiselle Court Smythe used a She allowed for you all to see and know only what was necessary to complete.
As much as I'm enjoying this show, any chance we can get to...
You shall have to wait only a moment longer. As there was only one accomplice left, not only her aid in the museum, but in the construction of the forgeries. Mademoiselle Farquhar's deception.
You were part of it. The whole time.
Taking us all for fools.
I have dedicated my life to serving God.
The pieces you had commissioned by Mademoiselle Court Smythe, which hang on your church walls.
Why are we even standing here?
Has this got anything to do with, frankly, anything?
Mademoiselle Court Smythe's forgeries would be hung on the church walls, while the originals were sold on the black market to lace your own pockets.
You have no proof of...
Poirot, the penitent Magdalene.
How could one forget? We have already discussed one of the multiple forgeries, and Mademoiselle Court Smythe sold you a forgery that you believe to be real. And upon learning of it, one should not allow oneself the arrogance to consider themselves the smartest in the room. I am sure theft and embezzlement are questionable enough.
I know things got out of hand, but it was you that broke into my office in the first...
There still remained one missing forgery. The image of the honorable and distinguished gentleman that you present.
It may seem like an alien concept to you, but we English... How long are we going to entertain this man's...
Poirot, can we move this along?
While searching the main hall for clues, a snuff box was found. full of and after speaking with my good friend, Monsieur Demire, about the effects of cocaine...
Recent studies have discovered that the use of cocaine and other such stimulants can put a tremendous...
Preposterous!
Your heart attack became the perfect distraction, while Mademoiselle Court-Smythe was able to slip...
Faking a heart attack is pretty low.
Monsieur Hastings.
Once the painting had been confirmed as stolen.
And Monsieur Aylesworth had bothered the detective inspector enough to show he had nothing to do with it.
He would get to keep the original and claim the insurance money. He was going to have...
I'm not going to...
You'll stay right where you are.
A stolen painting. Timed perfectly with his crossing, all designed to raise his profile. Just in time to announce...
I wasn't doing it for me.
I have never heard a more self-righteous claim for breaking the law.
How am I meant to help those that really need it unless...
Haven't you caused enough damage?
Madame Hélène, the famous actress and performer.
Look here!
When you overheard the conversation between your husband and Mademoiselle Court-Smythe at the gala...
I did everything to keep you happy, but it was...
It began with an infatuation, but turned into a relationship.
So that's why you took it. You...
She manipulated me She used me.
Oh, just keep it shut.
Perhaps, for once, you should listen to your...
I wonder how many other hidden skeletons...
It all ends here.
Poirot, the penitent Magdalene.
I know you have a flair for the dramatic, but I do have a job to do.
Mademoiselle Court-Smythe manipulated everyone. But that...
Poirot, the murderer. Tell us now, or I'm marching them up.
Of our suspects, all guilty in some form or other. Only one, Monsieur Christiansen. A lover, jilted and tossed aside, Mademoiselle Warbeck. Another that was promised her heart only to become a second, Monsieur Aylesworth. Anger that a foolproof plan backfired. Bishop Mountjoy, a third, sold the idea of an original painting, livid at the thought. Mademoiselle Farquhar, trapped in a partnership where you did not receive what was owed to you. All with motive, but lacking opportunity. Until the realization that Isn't that right, Mademoiselle Farquhar? Our true relation to the deceased. Cousins.
You don't understand.
You decided to poison her with potassium cyanide. A chemical often found in photography. Wearing an almost identical hat to the deceased, you were able to disguise yourself as her and be seen by the neighbor, leaving her body lifeless in her own apartment. You tried to cover your involvement in both the forgery. Incredibly clever. Your nefarious plan set...
Did you really just praise her for starting a fire?
On the contrary, it was a timer was used, allowing for Mademoiselle Farquhar to be seen in her office as she slipped in and out of the dark.
I didn't want to kill her.
She gave you no choice. You planned and
A cousin that has controlled me for years.
She held you captive? I did not see her presence.
No, of course she didn't. Emotionally and financially. I was a struggling critic. But she taught me how to stand up for myself.
You were aware of her scheme all along?
Not at first. I didn't know she was selling them on...
But even when you did find out, you didn't...
There was always a reason I couldn't. And what money I did get, I couldn't remain under her control anymore.
Mademoiselle.
All I see is the student become...
Detective Inspector? Perhaps it is time that Mademoiselle was escorted to the... The truth has been revealed. And Mademoiselle Courtsmythe's
There is something you'll forget.
If you think for a moment that the location of the original painting has...
Go on then. Where is it?
In this very museum. If the original painting was to find its way into her portfolio, it would be returned to her after her exhibition has concluded. Meaning...
It would be delivered to her on a plate.
Exactement. She prepared one of her picture frames and made sure it would be in the restoration room.
What on earth is he doing?
You've got to be kidding me.
It would take too long to remove the nails from the frame and hide it, surely.
The nails were sewn down, creating the illusion of being used correctly, when in fact the backboard was easily accessible. Hidden perfectly behind what Mademoiselle Courtsmythe deemed to be her masterpiece.
I never doubted him for a second.
Messieurs et mesdames, the penitent Magdalene.
Well, detective, you've solved both the theft and murder. I am...
Finding the murderer and solving two thefts would have been far more impressive.
Two thefts? You already have another case?
You have forgotten Mademoiselle Farquhar's missing cigarette case.
Oh, of course. Do you think Miss Farquhar lied about it going missing after all? Perhaps...
Mademoiselle Farquhar is far from an honest woman. Lies, but if her motive was indeed to fake theft and claim the insurance money, she would surely not have let it lying where Mademoiselle Babagnan claimed to. Mademoiselle Babagnan's motive is now clear. How she pulled off such... Something Hastings said has my little grey cells fired up. Nothing is ever quite what... Could Mademoiselle Babagnan have pulled the wool over my eyes in a similar way? I must return to the evidence from...
It is you that should be happy, mademoiselle. With no effort at all, you are able to save the day with barely a second thought. You turned a stolen heirloom with a thief and a victim into nothing more than...
A case of being in the right place.
I do not believe in coincidence. You were where you were meant to be. Had you not boarded when you did, you would likely have not been invited to the gala at all. Or been able to be within touching distance of so many beautiful and One thing I have learnt during my time here in London is that people portray a version of themselves. One to be...
What are you trying to say, Detective?
That there are some that wear a mask of authenticity. That perhaps, under different circumstances, I would have...
Will you be leaving London?
There are a few small matters to settle before I leave. Mademoiselle Farquhar is now in the hands of the Scotland Yard, where she will stand trial for her crimes.
You really do believe in the law?
If you do not believe in the law, madness and lunacy will ensue.
And everyone should be punished for their crimes?
I believe that we should be held accountable for our actions. No one man is above the law.
Or woman?
And you, mademoiselle? Are you to leave London?
There's nothing more for me here. I hear Paris is quite beautiful. Perchance our paths?
Perhaps, under those different circumstances.
I look forward to it.
Well, that's that then.
Oui, monsieur. The cases are closed and Mademoiselle Farquhar will shortly be behind.
What of the others?
Judging by the detective inspector's glare at Monsieur Aylesworth, he will not be... And Bishop Mountjoy. Once news spreads of his connection with the black market, I
was hoping at least someone would get a happy end.
Monsieur Hastings, you have been by my side throughout this investigation.
I helped where I could, but it was mostly you. I know that.
What you may not know, and I would kindly request you keep to yourself.
Lona?
I would not go as far as that. But it appears...
Good thing I was around to save you from a gunman.
I fear I shall not live that down.
I'll maybe hold on to it a little longer. Not many can...
The great Detective Poirot. As much as I admire your formality...
Our new relationship?
I have seen the benefit of friendship. Connecting with someone that shares an authenticity not only in themselves...
And that's me. Detective Poirot and his trusted friend, Arthur Hastings.
It does have a certain charm to it, n'est-ce pas?